Improve it, peeps. Okay, just get ready. Today's show is a ray of sunshine. Put your glasses on, put on some suntan lotion, because you are going to feel all the goody goodness with today's guest. We have Celeste Bell on the show, and here's how Celeste Bell is improving it. Celeste currently serves as Executive Vice President and the Head of Human Resources at Deutsch, New York, where she leads all HR activities and drives structural and strategic change management initiatives. Celeste has a wealth of experience in building equitable policies, procedures, and practices that deliver and positively impact diverse groups of talent. Most of Celeste's career experiences was with the Major League Baseball, just that small organization, where she was instrumental in the digital evolution of the organization. Prior to joining Deutsch, she handled talent acquisition at Publicis Media, which is also one of our clients. Celeste holds a bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, a master's degree in HR from New York University, as well as a certificate in HR analytics from Cornell. And she is currently pursuing a PhD in business at Virginia Tech and is interested in pursuing research in the areas of the future of work, leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, let me just say this. On top of her many accolades, she is amazing, talented human being. I'm not going to spoil it. You just have to listen to today's show. It is truly one of the most interesting conversations that I've had. You can hear from her credentials how fantastic she is at the work that she does. We're going to talk about the 4-day work week. And I want you to know that neither her or I are currently doing a 4-day work week, but we've done some research and we have some opinions and we have some tangibles. I like to give you tangibles for you to think about. So before we get started, just a quick housekeeping item. Make sure if you haven't gotten the download that we have for you, it's a 2-page, actually 3 to 4-page now PDF on how to hybrid hype your team. So if you are looking to engage your team in this hybrid workforce, whether you're on site or off site, working from home, working in the office, this gives you some really quick, tangible tips and things you can do using improv, of course, to hybrid hype your team. And you can get that in the link in the show notes. Get ready, because we're going to talk about all the things, the benefits of the 4-day work week. We're going to talk about 4 reasons to have a 4-day work week, the challenges that come with it, and then how to start trialing this within your organization. I can't wait for you to meet the one and only Celeste Bell. Let's improve it right now.
Are you a leader or change maker inside of your business, organization, or corporation? Are you looking for new, innovative ways to drive morale through the roof? Are you looking for fun and exciting icebreakers, team building exercises, and activities that will foster team growth, friendships, loyalty, and completely transform your organization from the inside out? Have you been searching for a fun and unique way to create change instead of the same old dry, boring leadership books and icebreakers that aren't actually working? Hi, I'm Erin, business improv edutainer, fail fluencer, and professional Zombie who is ready to help you improve it. My mission in life is to help you develop teams and leaders through play, improv, and experiential learning. In this podcast, we will deep dive into professional development, team building, effective communication, networking, presentation skills, leadership training, how to think more quickly on your feet, and everything in between. We have helped everyone from Fortune 500 companies to small mom and pop shops transform their business, their leadership, and their people through play. So grab your chicken hat. We are about to have some fun. Welcome to Improve It, the podcast.
Oh my gosh, Celeste Bell, welcome to the Improve It podcast. Sometimes I sing you in. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, our audience is going to love you. You are like a ray of sunshine. You just have this beautiful, positive energy, which radiates. We've only met through the computer, but I love it. And it makes me feel happy and just warm. So let's get to know you a little bit. This is a fun thing we like to do called 5 Facts. It is an activity that we do in our networking workshop at Improve It. It's really easy. And it has a little cheer. It goes like this: 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts. And then I want you to tell the Improve It peeps 5 things about Celeste that we could not find from your LinkedIn profile, from your resume, just fun facts about you that we should know. All right. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts, 5 facts.
All right, 5 facts. First fact, I once ran a marathon on every continent of the world in a week, like full marathons every day of the week on a different continent over the course of a week.
Serious right now? Okay, keep
Yes.
going. We're coming back to that. Number 2.
Number 2, once upon a time, I was a flight attendant. I was a flight attendant for 4.5 years.
Oh my God. Okay, number 3.
Number 3, I have a dog. His name is Jesse. He is my best friend. He's amazing. I love him.
Oh, we love you, Jesse. Okay, number 4.
Number 4, I am the only girl of 5 children. I have 4 brothers. That was crazy.
That's insane. Okay, and number 5.
Favorite sports, basketball. I grew up playing basketball, and it's, the sport that I love the most.
Which is so funny because you worked for the Major League Baseball for 10 years.
Right.
Oh my God, I love this. Okay, we're going to come back to all those things, but I really want to just start with holy cannolis. How did you run? Wait, so it was 5 marathons.
Oh, no. It was actually 8 marathons over the course of 8 days, 8 different countries.
8 days. Sorry, 8 days, 8 different countries. I have to know the countries. And how did you do this? How were you not jet lagged? And how did you make yourself physically able to do that?
Yeah. So I ran with a group. The group was through Marathon Adventures. There were 6 of us. And so we started, the running started in New Zealand, from New Zealand to Australia, Australia to Singapore, Singapore to Cairo, Egypt, Egypt to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to the United States. It was in Long Island, in the United States. The United States down to Punta Arenas, South America, Chile. And then we ended in Antarctica. That was the last race in Antarctica.
You're officially the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life. This is insane. What? What were you going to say? I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just had to get that out there. Please go. Oh my God.
No, and recovery was interesting. Recovery took different forms. So I had run, before running the continents, I had run a marathon in every state of the United States. And I'd done back-to-back races, 5 in a row, 5 different states, 5 different days, back to back. So I felt like, if I can do 5 states, I can do 8 countries, no problem. But it was different because with the states, we would drive to the next state, stay overnight. I have an ice bath, I'd be fine, ready to go the next day. You'd be sore the next day, but, perfectly fine still to run. But the difference with this was getting on a plane, getting on a plane, going to these different countries and locking up while you're on the plane, not having ice baths. Some of these countries, ice who? In Singapore, ice buckets.
Right.
And so some of these other countries, Singapore and Egypt, I couldn't take an ice bath because, one, we didn't have we didn't have tubs in our hotel rooms, but there was no ice. You couldn't just go down the hall and get a bucket of ice. And so recovery was definitely a little different that time around, but you just ran through the soreness. You line up the next day, you're going to be sore for a little bit and you just run through it and then it eventually goes away, or you're just numb and you don't realize it anymore.
This is truly I feel like this show, we just took a turn. This is now about this is now a running podcast. This is literally insane. I will tell you, I ran 1 marathon in 2010 and it was my first and probably last. I literally don't know how you did that. I don't know how you did it in the US. I don't know how you did all the states, let alone 8 in 8 days flying on a plane and then not fully recovering. What was when you got back home, did you just do nothing for like, did you not walk for like 2 weeks? I would literally just lay there and be like, I've done it all. I don't need to do anything.
Funny enough, I went right back to work. I went to work. I went to work on Monday. Like I got back. I feel like I got back on a Saturday and I went back to work on a Monday.
Celeste, you're literally, I just admire you. This is a whole, like I was already doing the research on this show and thinking, wow, I get to talk to this amazing human. And that is blowing my mind. I cannot. And also the fact that you got to go to these amazing places, Amsterdam, Egypt, New Zealand, Australia, like these are bucket list places. And what better way to see them than to run them and to have a team of people. Are you still close with the other people? You said there were 6 of you?
Yeah, we stayed in touch.
That is crazy. Okay, I have to do a hard turn from this, but I am just so happy I asked that question. That is insane. You are the coolest. Like that is, I've never met anybody who has ever done that. That is nuts. Oh my God. Okay. And how many total marathons? I got to know that. How many total have you run?
So I've run 67 total.
Oh my God. That is great. My legs just cramped. I just got a cramp. I am in awe of you. And have you always been a runner or is that something you did?
I started running after college. During college actually, because I didn't want to get fat. Like I was like,
yeah,
freshman 15, 20, 25 is a very real thing.
Yep. Had it. Got the t-shirt. Yep. Got the sized up t-shirt. Yep.
Yep. So it really started in college. I played basketball up until then and, decided I've got to do something to keep myself together.
You did it. And that is like, if that doesn't say as like who you are as a person, 67 marathons, that is some discipline. That is some self-control. That is mind over matter. That is mental awareness, health, all the things. I just did a half over, trained from October basically to February because I haven't run in full in 10 years. And I thought I was impressed I was like, I did it. I ran a half again. But it's so much discipline. Like you have to get up early. You have to run a long ways before you do anything else to start your day. You also have a job, a very amazing job. So kudos to you. What a way to start this show. And let me ask you this. Let's do this because I love to give intention to the show. We're talking about the 4-day work week here. I keep telling you, I keep wanting to say 4-hour, but the 4-day work week. So tell me, what is one word that you would like to get out of today's show? What's an intention you want to set for our audience?
The audience should lean into flexibility.
Oh, I love that. Flexibility. Okay. Well, I want to start with just your career because you have had a fantastic career. It was so fun to research you. You worked for Major League Baseball for 10 years plus before switching to Publicis, and now you work for Deutsch. So tell me, and when we started the show, you gave me a really awesome fact before we hit record about just some of the flexibility that Deutsch provides. But what would you say flexibility-wise? Let's use that word. What would you say your kind of workload is right now? How many hours you work a week and where you're at currently with Deutsch?
Yeah. So I'd say, workload for sure changes. Like that's the nature of the beast with human resources, because you wear so many hats, you do so many things under that umbrella. So the day, there's no regular day in human resources because they do change from day to day. I'd say I do try to work, 40 to 45 hours. There was a period early in the year where, I was short staffed. And so I was definitely putting in a lot more hours, 50 to 60. But, now that I've got my team, fully staffed, I'd say I do average about 40 to 45, depending on the week.
Totally. I feel like that's like pretty average for most people, right? Like, especially in an HR role and also are we post pandemic? I don't know. Coming
Yeah, right.
at the end of the pandemic, I don't know. So what do you think about the phrase when you hear the phrase work-life balance? What does that mean to you?
Work-life balance is kind of a myth. I think that you can have both, but I think it's hard to have them at the same time. There's literally a book that I read, really that speaks to that. You can have it all, but not at the same damn time.
Yep. Yep.
And so I really do think that it's a choosing of what's important, to you day by day, week by week. There's a book that I read. One of my former coworkers suggested a book called The One Thing.
Oh.
And it's like really changed my life because it speaks to you selecting the thing that's most important for you to get done that day. And you shepherd all of your energy into that thing. Because at the end of the day, everything you do every day is not important. You might have 50 emails to send out and a million little things to do. But at the end of the day, are they the most important thing? And so that book is about like really centering on the things that are most important. And so that's my approach to work life, because again, I don't think it's possible to just have balance all the time. It's choosing what's most important to you that day and leaning into that day, that week.
I love that. One of my former colleagues said her mom she sort of had a different role growing up. Her mom was, this is years ago, was the primary breadwinner. And so her dad did a lot of the like at home work and, helping the kids at home. And her mom said, some days I get an A+ at work and a C with family. And some days I get a C at work and an A+ with family. So I love that concept of the one thing, because you just have to choose what is that day about. And it's almost like how we set an intention at the top of the show. I love that. I'm going to read that book. We'll put the book in the show notes too for the audience so they can get that as well. But I want to ask you this. What have you noticed in your role at Deutsch and just being in HR for so many years? What have these past couple of years been like, and what have you seen? Well, we all know what they've been like. Never repeat them again. It's like 6th grade. Don't want to do it again. But what do you see coming out of this book? Great resignation, the great reflection, the great regret, all of those things. What do you think is the theme or the biggest desire that employees have today?
I think the biggest desire is the desire for flexibility, for employees to be able to design the work life that works best for them and to be trusted by their companies. When I look back over the last 2 years, obviously it's been an awful last 2 years. These 2 years have just been a mental drain, I think, for everyone across the board, work life, personal life. It's been hard. And I think that people are reprioritizing the things that are most important to them, where work used to really be front and center, like all the time, and your world revolved around work. I think that COVID making it abundantly clear that life is very short and you should spend your time doing the things that you love with the people that you love. I think that people are really now leaning into, I need more of this. Work is important, but I also need to spend my days doing the things that I love and spending time with the people that I love. And so I think the flexibility to be able to do that is so important to every single employee. Whether they admit it or not, it's important to people.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. It really is. You can see it in so many different varieties of how people have moved. People, like myself included, people have changed locations. They work from the place they want to work now because they have that flexibility. I hear you on that. And, it has been really tough on so many levels all the levels, but I feel like that is really the through line. And what employers really have to take note of is if you want a workforce that's engaged, you really have to lean into your intention, Celeste, which is flexibility. So this brings me to the 4-day work week, which we know many companies globally are leaning into, or at least trialing right now. So we've got companies, big names like Kickstarter and Basecamp, which I use Basecamp on a regular basis. I love Basecamp. They've leaned into this and they're still paying their employees the same as they would for a 5-day work week, but they are only working those 8 hours, 32 hours in 4 days. So I know currently that you don't have a 4-day work week model, but what would you say are some of the benefits that you see for companies leaning into this?
Yeah, I think that there's probably quite a few of them. And just reading up on the companies that are offering it, so far, because Newsweek put out an article, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, about these 31 companies that are leaning into it, have done a trial, some of them have made it a permanent fixture. And they spoke to a greater level of productivity, which again, might be surprising to people because they're working fewer days. But some of them spoke to higher levels of productivity. Again, the engagement piece that you just spoke to, the well-being, the mental and physical well-being of employees, them being able to spend more time doing the things that really bring them the most joy. And then retention. I think that retention is one of those pieces that turnover costs a lot.
Yes.
And everyone, every company doesn't put a number on turnover, but they should. Because it really does add up to lots of dollars and lots of cents. And so I think if there's something that you can do to lean into to keep those people in place that are amazing, and this is one of those things that could do that, then why not try it?
Exactly. I so hear you on this. And what's so interesting too is just even going back to you and your interests running and doing this amazing things that you've done in your life. When an employer sees or a leader sees what other people enjoy, and if you can incorporate the joy that they have in their outside world and allow that to be a part of the work that they're doing and be a part of their day to day. So, you get a 4-day work week and now you get 3 days to run and do a marathon on one of those days, a day to recover. Like that to me is the ultimate goal as a leader. I want that life. Right? And so part of my interest in this 4-day work week too is that it's something that I've been really thinking about as a leader of my own team. And I just love those benefits. So I just want to repeat them one more time. You said greater levels of productivity, engagement, mental and physical well-being, and then retention, and really thinking about that high cost of turnover. So this goes along with that same questions, but can you think of 4 specific reasons? And you did just give me 4. Is there anything else other than those 4 to have a 4-day work week? Why, if you're a leader listening today, should you just think about this as an opportunity for your team?
With those 4, those are my big 4. But the thing is, if you don't, someone else will. And you stand the possibility of losing your greatest employees to those companies that will, that have chosen to go down this path and support their employees in this way, and give their employees the opportunity to work really hard, but to also play hard, to have those 3 days. What you just said about the running a marathon, on one of those days, literally when I was running around the world, when I was running and doing these states, I would take off like a Friday to get to where I was going. And one of the greatest benefits, I think best when I'm on the run. So I'll come back inspired and like with loads of ideas. And so it actually does help me to be a more productive employee, the running and the travel. Like I think that anytime I'm going to a new place and I'm exposed to a new culture and a new way of thinking, it inspires me. And so that running and being able to bring back like great ideas, on Monday, it really is a benefit. And so, I think the biggest takeaway is that if you don't, somebody else will.
That is it. I love it. It's so funny. We use improv here at Improve It, and it's really interesting, the correlation of what you just said, because I remember early in my improv training, I was like 22 years old and I didn't have a ton of life experience. And then I sort of took a pause on improv for a few years. I went out and traveled. I did a ton of stuff. And then I came back and I was able to incorporate so much more into my scene work because I had lived. And I had I had seen different parts of the world. I had more just eye-opening opportunities that allowed me to see things differently. So that allowed me to create new characters. And so obviously all of it spills into work. It spills into things like improv. Life experience gives us, and that's like you said it earlier, COVID reminded us that the life is so short, right? Like we need to do these things while we can. And why not give joy? If you can give your team anything, why not give them joy inside and outside of work? Like what a gift, right? So I love this. So let me ask you this on the flip side. I mean, we see these benefits. I hear them. What are some of the challenges that you see with a 4-day work week, if any? But
yeah.
what are
I think one of the glaring challenges is probably around the companies that have, support centers that have, we use a applicant tracking system and their support like is on call, and I should be able to call them on a Friday at 3:00 in the afternoon or Thursday morning at 9 or whatever time. And so I think that companies that have, times that they are supposed to be available to the outside public, that becomes a little more tricky where it looks like some companies have decided they're closing, they're making Friday the day off, or they're making Monday the day off. That becomes a little more tricky where you've got to rotate the schedules so that you're sharing the Fridays, you're sharing the Mondays, whatever day is decided, to make sure that you have coverage. And so that's the challenge that I see, like just right off the bat in terms of hiccups to the external public, to your customer. That's really that's the biggest one.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too. And I was exactly what you said. You can kind of divvy up like this team A takes Fridays off, team B takes Mondays off, but maybe team B, maybe they want to switch with somebody on team, then it kind of gets a little convoluted. But I hear you. And I think it's a stance for, some companies to say, I'm taking this Friday off. It's normally a 5-day work week. And it is a stance that they're like, this is what we believe in. And that's powerful too, but I can see the logistical challenges. And I also think at that point you have to outweigh the benefits versus the downside. So, and every company is different depending on your industry. So I know there's different logistics and details involved. But it really kind of doing the trial, which you've seen all these 31 companies on Newsweek, they all trialed it first to iron out the kinks. And the good news is once you trial it, you better be ready to go for it. I cannot see that going backwards. But you can iron it out and then fix it from there. You're like, okay, we tried this. It didn't work. Everybody leaves the company. They're like, nope. So I love it. So let me ask you this, Celeste. What would you do with a 4-day work week and a 3-day weekend? What would your ideal 3-day weekend be like?
Literally, I honestly, and I've given this some thought. I've given this some thought even before we connected about a 4-day work week. Because my ultimate goal is to run a marathon on every single country, like every country of the world, I'd literally be jet setting. I'd be going not to a country every single weekend, but once a month, I'm going to be somewhere else. I'm going to be in another country running a marathon in a different country, maybe twice a month, but not every single weekend.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely be checking those countries off.
That is insane. Okay, I have just really 2 quick follow-up questions. One, has this ever been done before? Has somebody done that? Is that in like the Guinness Book of World Records?
There's one person right now to date who's run a marathon on every country of the world. His name is Nick Butter. So there's not a woman that's done it yet.
Okay, Celeste is coming. She's coming. Oh my God. Yes. Who run the world, girls. Okay, literally. Okay, so let me ask you the second question about that. That's nothing to do with the 4-day work week. Where do you keep all your medals?
Oh gosh, that's a fail. In a box. I don't have a display case. It's on my list of things to do, but I haven't gotten to it. So literally they're in a box. And funny enough, I was using one as a bookmark. So this is my last one from Rome, in September, but I don't actually, I'm ashamed.
You need a display case. You need those on display. Okay. If this episode is going to friends and family of Celeste, listen up. This is a great holiday idea, birthday idea. Here it is. If you're wondering what to buy Celeste, a display case for her 67 marathon medals. And then once we get that 3-day work week going, there's going to be I don't know, hundreds. So, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, those were just thoughts that I had about myself, about you and literally the coolness that is Celeste. So let me ask this. So if somebody listening today, I mean, you have worked in some really amazing companies. You work in an amazing organization. You are a leader. If somebody listening today wanted to push this idea of a 4-day work week to their leadership, what would be an appropriate way to bring this to their attention and start a conversation?
I think this has to be a solution to something. So I think the first thing is to identify the problems, to highlight the problems that exist, and this as a possible solution to those problems, and tying dollars where you can to those problems so that it becomes a very real business problem, so that your CFO understands that this is a problem that affects our bottom line. Again, turnover is a huge problem that a lot of folks don't tie the numbers to, but it's a huge problem. And so really, if you're able to gather the data and gather the numbers to the problems that exist and the dollars that you see walking out the door, then I put that case together in that way.
I love that. And okay, this is very, very specific, but just getting really tangible here. So what's an example of a problem and just, estimating a cost? What's an example of something that you might see, not at your organization, but just organizations might see collectively?
Yeah. So if people are leaving, and I go back to retention, I go back to turnover a lot because these are problems that you can solve. You can always solve every single thing, but a lot of times the issues that people are walking out for, there are solutions, at your fingertips. And so let's say, an organization, they're losing people because they don't have learning development options. They don't have career growth plans in place. Simple problem to solve.
Yep.
Fix it by leaning into and providing a learning platform and career development opportunities and showing that you care about, employees' growth and their career paths. Same thing. sometimes financially it's harder to correct. If people are leaving, because they all feel like they're underpaid, as it relates to the market, that can be harder to solve. That's a longer term, probably have to do over multiple cycles in terms of compensation cycles. But a lot of times the problems are fixable, the things that people need. But it just starts with listening. It starts with actually collecting the data, having conversations with folks, both inside before they leave and with the folks that are leaving, and then acting on what they're speaking to.
That is it. I know those exit interviews are something powerful to understand, why did you leave? What could we have done better? And then I love that, also talking with the people that currently are there. And I think this is so important. I think putting dollar signs, like you said, really show, especially, you said talking to the COO, your audience, who you're talking to, how they think in dollars. So present it to them in a way that makes sense. I really love that. Okay, this is a fun question. If you had a 3-day weekend to go anywhere in the world with anyone in the world, where and who would it be with?
Okay, so where? Because I want to go to every country in the world, it's kind of like, okay, which one am I going to pick?
Yeah.
But so I love Cape Town. I ran a marathon in Cape Town before the world closed, before things shut down. And it was a long weekend. I literally went out there on a Friday and I came back on a Monday, ran the marathon on a Sunday, but squeezed a whole bunch of stuff in on that Saturday. And I want to go back there because there's so much to see. I did a hop on, hop off bus, on that Saturday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to still do. And so I want to go back out there. And I think that it would be a toss up. And I'm not good at following the rules. So one person's hard. Choosing one person's hard. I think that a couple would be, Michelle and Barack Obama.
Yes,
those are my two favorite people. Obama is the coolest of the cool, and he plays basketball. So I'd love to actually get a game of basketball, actually play basketball with him, while we're out there, hit up a gym and play basketball while we're out there. So it would be with them, because they are just amazing human beings, in general. So it would be with the two of them.
That is, okay, can I name drop 2 seconds?
Of course.
Do you know that, okay, so many years ago, 2017, we worked for we did workshops for the Obama Foundation, and we literally got to meet him. Michelle was not there. And there's a whole podcast episode on this. I'll link to it in the show notes. Jenna, our director of client experience, got to be a part of that day. And she actually got chosen by her peers to be interviewed, she thought, by just a staff member. Oh no, it was him. She had a full conversation with him, and he was as beautiful as you can imagine in person, just so dapper and debonair, and just walked in a room and just he just looked so confident, and he just was so kind. And I'm just, but that was truly, I only got a second. If I had a full weekend, if I got to go to Cape Town, that, let me say, would be the most epic experience. And Michelle, let's not play basketball with Barack, and then do some arm lifting with Michelle.
Right. Work out with her. Right.
Oh my God. That is amazing. And I feel like this is going to happen. So, okay, I know this isn't happening currently in your organization, but if you or somebody listening wanted to trial this, what's a great way to start? What's a good way to just, obviously start, but what's a way to ease in that you could think of?
Yeah, I think that, watching other companies do this, it looks like a lot of them have done 3 to 6 month trials. And so picking a time frame that makes sense that where you can collect some real data. So maybe starting with 3 months, extending to 6 if that first 3 months has gone well. I think that collecting data is so important. Identifying what's important, what are the most important outcomes of this 3-month experiment, this 3-month trial, identifying what productivity means, because a company, an employee can say, I'm more productive, but what does that really mean? Am I sending more emails, or am I actually getting to greater outcomes? Am I doing things that are pushing the organization forward? And so I think identifying what the measures are going to be, like, very clearly, and then actually like collecting the data to see how you did and see how people are feeling, and if it makes sense to continue on. To your point, if you do it, you've got to be ready to actually embrace it long term, because I think that you might have a full-on employee revolt.
Oh, yeah. They're like, nope, this was too good. I know. And you know what? Nobody's going to say no to a 4-day work week. I think most people would be so excited. It's such a great way to, like you said, reduce turnover, but attract new, amazing talent at the same time. So I love this. And I think you're right, starting with 3. And for, a great data piece is, for most companies, what's revenue? How's that looking? Is it high? Is it higher than it was? Then let's keep going. So I love that. Okay, final couple of questions here for you. Number 1, we always say here at Improve It that the it is that thing. It's your purpose. It's your light. It's what you give to the world. So what is your it?
My it? Oh gosh. I'd say my it is listening. Like my purpose is to help people become their very best selves, in any capacity, in whatever situation I may be in, whether that's in work or in my personal life, my friends, my family. I want to help, people around me be their very best selves, the very best version of themselves. And a lot of times it comes from listening and asking really good questions that are going to pull out those things that are going to make them better. It's not me telling them how to be better. The greatness is in all of us. It resides in all of us. It takes those good questions. It takes listening and those good questions to pull it out. And so I'd say that's my it.
I love that it. And I got to tell you, man, when you said that, that is literally what we say here too, that we want people to become their best selves professionally. And I love that. People, you can tell, Celeste, that is your, like, you just attract that into your life. You have such a light inside of you, and you are so joyful. So I am so grateful we were able to have you here on the show. And I could have had 4 days of this conversation, if I'm being honest. So I want to just thank you so much for your insight, for your wisdom, for your leadership, and literally anybody who gets to work with Celeste. You are so lucky. And now, Improve It peeps, we are so lucky that we got to have this conversation today. So thank you so much, Celeste, for being here. And I look forward to continuing to hear how we can push 4-day work weeks into our organizations and the people we touch.
Love it. Thank you so much for having me. This was so great.
You were the best. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I feel like I just had a day in the sun. I am filled with energy. I hope you are too. What an amazing leader and human being. So grateful we had Celeste on the show. So as you know, I'd love to give you some homework to think about. Here's your homework. As Celeste said, and in our conversation we talked about, if you are thinking about a 4-day work week with your organization, if you are starting to think about this and really want to trial it, number 1, know that when you trial it, you need to have the expectation that it will probably go into motion. Number 2, I want you to think about what Celeste said. And so if this is something that you want to bring up to leadership, start identifying the problems that you're seeing within your organization. So whether it's productivity is low, engagement is low, mental and physical well-being is low because people are burnt out. You're seeing a high rate of retention, which are all the 4 reasons to have a 4-day work week. Start identifying the problems and then identify the dollars to those specific problems, as Celeste mentioned. Put some time and effort into this. Talk with leadership about this. And if most of you listening are leaders, start thinking about what it would make what would make sense for your organization, for your team, and why this is so important. So many companies are leaning into this. So many people are trialing it. I know a lot of small businesses that are actually really starting to implement this. And it has impacted the way that people show up to work, because when people, as you know, which was one of the main tenets of improv, feel seen and heard, they are yes-anded, they show up, they are more productive. And when productivity rises, there goes the bottom line. There goes people's engagement. There goes your retention. It's staying put. People are happy where they're at. So think about all of those things. And I really want you to put some time, effort, and energy into thinking about how you can trial this within your team, and if it's something that you want to approach with leadership. If today's episode spoke to you and you want to just use this episode as a starting point for leadership, send it to somebody on your team, or send it and pass it along to a friend or colleague who you know could benefit from listening. As always, if you left us an iTunes review, a real person, a real human being, me, would jump for joy. So please do that, as well as the team here who makes all of this content for you every single week. It means so much just by leaving a 2-second review on iTunes. Thank you so much for taking the time to invest in yourself today, and know that I am just so proud to have the opportunity to do so. So as you know, keep failing. Keep improving. The world needs that special it that only you can bring. I'll see you next week.
Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to Improve It. I am so happy you were along for the ride. If you enjoyed this show, head on over to iTunes to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Now, if you're really feeling today's show and you've improved it even just a little bit, please take a screenshot and tag me at Keeping It Real Deal on Instagram and share it in your stories. I'll see you next week, but I want to leave you with this thought. What did you improve today, and how will that help your future successful self? Think about it. I am rooting for you, and the world needs that special it that only you can bring. See you next time.